Hello everybody, you are through to English ESL Way with Mithika, and in today's lesson we'll look at 4 modal verbs: can, could, may, might. We will start by their formulation briefly and then we will move on to their usage. As you know, each modal verb in English has one or several specific functions. So it is imperative that you know the usage very well. Modal verbs can, could, may and might. We'll first look at the formulation. All modal verbs have the following features in common. Say for, they are always followed by the infinitive without to, means the base form of the verb. They are the same for all the pronouns. They do not need auxiliaries. They take direct negative and question forms. They never combine with another modal verb. Let's look at some common mistakes. A very common mistake is using infinitive to. I mean the to after the modal verb. For example, I can to sing is a wrong sentence. Rather, you should say, I can sing. Remember, the modal verbs are used only with the base forms of the verb. So the sentence, she could running fast, is also wrong. Rather, you use, she could run fast. The second common mistake is conjugating for he, she, it, adding s. Remember, the modal are same for all pronoun. It is right to say I can swim, she can swim, not she can swim. Or not it might rain, you should say it might rain. The third mistake is using an auxiliary with a modal verb. Modal verb can be used to make direct question and negative forms. So the correct question is, can you do this? Or he doesn't, may like it is the wrong. We should say, he may not like it. Finally, as I said earlier, modal verb can't combine with each other. So it is wrong to say she can come tomorrow. You better say she can come tomorrow. So for this sentence, you can just use can. She can come tomorrow, or use synonym for can, like she'll be able to come tomorrow. Let's look at the usage of each of the modal verbs starting with can. And the first use is expressing the ability or lack of ability in the present or future. So I can see you at 3 p.m. tomorrow. Can you manage that? They cannot dance, or you can use the contraction, they can't dance. Well, like they can dance. The second usage of can is giving or not giving permission. For example, you could say, you can use my office, or you can't smoke here. You will see later, in order to ask for permission, we use the modal verb may. You could also say, moving on, we'll understand the usage of could, and its first usage is again like ability or lack of ability in the past. So I could read without glasses last year. Last is your past time period. I couldn't sleep last night. We use couldn't for spoken English and could not for written English. The second usage is making request, and it is always in the question form. So you could say, could you repeat that please? Or could we have a break please? Or could you please leave us there, ma'am? The third usage is making suggestion. So it is always in the affirmative. So what do you suggest for dinner? My answer could be like, we could have fish. And we could also say another example like, ma'am, what do you suggest we should do next now? I may answer like this, you could do some skating or you could learn English like this way. I may be suggesting you that manner. So use could for suggesting. Moving on, may. We use may for permissions. I have already mentioned this thing while we were giving permission with can. So first example is, may I use your pen? May we have a look? And to remind you, again, we use can for giving permission and may for asking permission. And the second usage of may is to indicate a strong possibility in the present or future. Means what is possible, right? And it may happen again. She may not accept the offer. So you are suggesting somebody that it is possible that it may happen again, or it is possible that when you are offering, she may not accept that offer. And now finally, let's look at might. Might is also used for a possibility in the present or future. But you need to remember that it is slightly weaker than may. So we can also say it might happen again, or we could also use the word could. But might and may are more common for possibility. So do you understand? You could use may and might for telling the possibility. But when you are not so sure, you may use might, but when you are a little more sure, you have a stronger possibility, you use may. Could is also used, but we do not use much often. And we do not use could in negative for possibility. So it is right to say she might not accept the offer. And finally, the second usage of might is the possibility in the past, and in this case it is followed by have, like have done. And for better understanding, I have another lesson on this also. He might have missed the train. Once again, we can also use could, but not in negative. So we could say he could have missed the train. And in negative we can't use, so we may say I might not have missed the train. Just a little, not on possibilities. May can also be used to show a possibility in the past, but it is less common than might and could. So you may hear he might have or could have or may have missed his train. However, you must avoid using may in third conditional sentence or talking about unreal conditions, means talking about the conditions which is unreal. So in this sentence, if I had studied more, I would have or might have or could have. Avoid using may. Now one more thing, in very informal context, we tend to use can instead of appropriate modal verb. Although this is acceptable, it is always best to use the correct modal verb in formal situations and in exams. For requests in an informal situation, you might hear people saying, "Can you open the door?" However, the correct modal is could. So you should say, "Could you open the door?" because you are making a request. So when you are in formal situation, remember this. And when you are asking for permission, once again in an informal situation or in friendly situation, you may hear people saying, "Can I use the phone?" But the correct modal is may. So I suggest using may I use the phone. And to make a suggestion, you might hear people say we can meet next week. But now, as you know, the correct modal is could, so you should say we could meet next week. And finally, for the possibility in the present or future, you could say it can happen again. But now, as you know, the better modal is may, so you should say it may happen again for strong possibility, might happen again, and